Have you ever stood in the middle of your room, surrounded by clutter, yet felt emptier than ever before? I have. It was a Sunday afternoon, sunlight streaming through the window, illuminating every dust particle suspended in the air. Around me were stacks of unread books, clothes worn only once, outdated tech gadgets, and countless mementos I couldn't even remember why I kept. I had everything society said would bring happiness. I had more. Yet my soul had never felt so deprived. It was in that quiet, suffocating moment that an ancient philosophy found its way to me, a simple yet powerful truth. Less is more. My journey began not by decluttering my room, but by decluttering my mind. I had plunged into life with an insatiable hunger, the hunger to have more, to do more, and to be more. My schedule was packed with appointments, my phone constantly buzzed with notifications, and my to-do list seemed endless. I believed that busyness equated to success, and owning much meant fulfillment. But in reality, I was merely building a prison for myself, a prison lavishly adorned with material possessions and unnecessary obligations. The external clutter was merely a mirror reflecting the internal chaos. I had lost connection with myself, with what truly brought me joy and meaning. I realized I needed a revolution, not to gain more, but to let go. To thoroughly understand the power of simplicity, let me take you back in time to the sun-drenched gardens of ancient Greece. Here, we meet Epicurus, a philosopher often misunderstood as an advocate for a life of mindless hedonism. But the truth is quite the opposite. Epicurus and his followers did not seek happiness in lavish banquets or golden treasures. Instead, they believed that true joy comes from the absence of physical pain and the disturbance of the soul. For Epicurus, a meal of bread, cheese, and a few olives shared with kindred spirits in a quiet garden brought 1,000 times more satisfaction than owning an entire kingdom while being filled with anxiety. He taught that human desires can be divided into two types, natural and necessary, or vain and limitless. The secret to happiness is not trying to fill the bottomless pit of vain desires, but learning to be content with simple things. During the same era, the Stoics shared a similar view. They trained themselves not to depend on external possessions. They believed that inner peace comes from mastering oneself, not mastering the world. When you become less dependent on luxury items to feel happy, you become free. No one can take away your happiness, because that happiness does not reside in inanimate objects, but in your own attitude toward life. Leaving the windswept Mediterranean, let us turn toward the mystical East, where the story of Shakyamuni Buddha opens up another deep spiritual dimension of the minimalist lifestyle. Before becoming the enlightened one, he was Prince Siddhartha, who possessed all the world's riches and honors. He lived in magnificent palaces, surrounded by servants, silks, and feasts. But Siddhartha realized that no matter how much wealth one has, humans cannot escape suffering, old age, and death. Extreme luxury did not provide the answer to the meaning of life. He gave it all up, donned tattered robes, and entered the deep forest to practice asceticism. He tried fasting and torturing his body to the point of being only skin and bones, believing that total rejection of the material world would lead to liberation. But then, by the Niranjana River, when his strength was exhausted, he realized that extreme asceticism was just another form of bondage. It clouded the mind and depleted the body, making it impossible to reach wisdom. After receiving a bowl of milk rice from the maiden Sujata, he found the middle way. This is the path of balance, avoiding two extremes, one of indulgence and luxury and the other of self-mortification. The Buddha's teachings tell us that material things are a means to sustain life, not the purpose of life. Simplicity in the middle way lifestyle helps us eliminate unnecessary attachments, keeping the mind pure to focus on cultivating morality and wisdom. Happiness, according to the Buddha, comes from inner peace and the letting go of craving, not from accumulation. My spiritual journey continued, leading me to the teachings of the Buddha. He pointed out that the root of all suffering stems from craving and attachment. The path to nirvana, to liberation, is the path of letting go. Relinquishing material attachments and unnecessary desires is not a sacrifice, but an act of liberation, allowing the mind to become serene and clear, focusing on the essentials of life. These teachings from thousands of years ago resonated astonishingly in my modern world. From Epicurus, the Stoics, to the Buddha, they all spoke of the same truth. Happiness is not found externally, in accumulation, but internally, in purification and simplification. Inspired by these sages, I began to apply this philosophy to my life through a more modern concept, minimalism. This wasn't a competition to see who could own the least. It was a conscious way of living. I started with my wardrobe. With each item, I asked myself, do I truly love it? Does it bring value to my life? Initially, it was difficult. Each item was tied to a memory, a hope, a different version of myself. But gradually, I learned to cherish the memory without needing to keep the object. Each unnecessary shirt, book, and decorative item was given away, donated, or sold. My room began to have space to breathe, and miraculously, so did my mind. The change didn't stop at material possessions. I began to reevaluate how I used my time and energy. I learned to politely say no to invitations and projects that didn't align with my values. I turned off unnecessary notifications on my phone. Instead of aimlessly scrolling through social media, I spent that time reading a good book, walking in the park, or simply sitting still and listening to my own thoughts. The mental clutter, which stemmed from owning too much and doing too much, began to dissipate. Stress decreased. My creativity and focus increased. I realized that by eliminating the superfluous, I had created space for what truly mattered: deep relationships, forgotten passions, and inner peace. Perhaps the most profound change was the shift from FOMO to JOMO. FOMO, or the fear of missing out, had once been the invisible force driving my life. I feared missing out on a party, a new trend, a career opportunity. That fear kept me in a constant race, always feeling inadequate. But as I began to live more simply, a new feeling emerged: JOMO, or the joy of missing out. I first experienced it when I declined a noisy social event to stay home, brew a cup of tea, and read a book. There was no anxiety, no regret, only a deep sense of peace and pure joy. I found joy in not having to cram my schedule, not having to chase every latest tech gadget. I learned to simply be present, fully enjoying the current moment instead of trying to capture it for others to see. JOMO is not indifference or isolation. It is freedom. Freedom to choose where you dedicate your energy. Freedom to live a life that aligns with who you are, not with the expectations of others. Now, looking back, I see that my life is not at all more deprived. On the contrary, it is richer than ever. My room has fewer possessions but more space and light. My schedule has fewer appointments, but more quality time for those I love. My mind has fewer worries but more clarity and peace. The philosophy of less is more is not about austerity or renunciation. It is about intentional choice. It is the art of distinguishing between the essential and the superfluous, between what nourishes the soul and what merely distracts us. It is about pruning the overgrown branches so that the tree of your life can grow tall and bear fruit. If you are feeling suffocated by your own life, if you are tired of the endless race to acquire more, perhaps it's time to stop and take a deep breath. Look around you and look within you. Ask yourself, what truly matters? What can you let go of to create space for joy and meaning? The journey to more sometimes begins with a courageous step back by choosing less. And that, perhaps, is the greatest secret to a fulfilling life.